Now, there is a scripture that a lot of people like to use, a scripture from Jeremiah that they believe says that Christmas trees are wrong. Let me read this to you. It says in Jeremiah 10, 2 through 4, "Do not learn the ways of the nations or be terrified by signs in the heavens, though the nations are terrified by them. For the practices of the people are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and the craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails so it will not totter." Now, that sounds a lot like a Christmas tree, doesn't it? Well, maybe if you don't think about it for more than like 2 seconds. Obviously, this is not literally referring to Christmas trees because this is the Old Testament. This was written before Jesus was even born. So there's no Christmas time happening at this time in history. But some people read this verse and they notice how much the description seems to remind them of a Christmas tree. So they make the assumption that the tradition of bringing an evergreen tree indoors and decorating it and putting presents on it or whatever was a tradition that had been adopted from the pagans of earlier times and then applied to Christmas later on. That's not what this verse is saying. Look again. It says that the practice of the people is to cut a tree out of the forest, and then look, the craftsman shapes it with his chisel, and they adorn it with silver and gold. What is that describing? Not a Christmas tree. It's talking about a wood carving. They use a chisel. More specifically, it's talking about the carving of an idol. Look at the next verse. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. And then look at verse 8. They are all senseless and foolish. They are taught by worthless wooden idols. Hammered silver is brought from Tarshish and gold from Uphaz. What the craftsmen and the goldsmiths have made is then dressed in blue and purple, all made by skilled workers. But the Lord is the true God. He is the living God, the eternal King. When he is angry, the earth trembles. The nations cannot endure his wrath. Tell them this, these gods who did not make the heavens and the earth will perish from the earth under the heavens. Okay, so again, Christmas trees are not an ancient pagan tradition. They are actually a quite modern Christian, mostly Protestant tradition. And Jeremiah was not talking about Christmas trees in that verse. He was talking about idols and idolatry. And if you're worried about idolatry, stop picking on the easy stuff like Christmas trees. That's not what idolatry looks like in the modern world. It looks more like the smartphone you're watching this on right now.